Hello everyone. We are so back. It's so kind of weird, honestly, to be filming again. It feels like a muscle that you haven't worked in a minute, but it still feels familiar. Like, right, your body and your mind remember what it's supposed to be doing, but then there's still that like slight unfamiliarity with I haven't done this in a minute. But let's be in that place together, shall we? It's been several months since I have posted a video, and today my goal is just to get you caught up on what's been going on in my life and what I have been making in the meantime. And to help me do that, I am channeling my inner Steve from Blue's Clues. In addition to my big comfy chair, I have my handy dandy notebook, and it has a list of things that I'm supposed to remember to tell you about. So let's hope that this is some sort of cohesive thing. And if not, sorry, I hope you have fun anyway. And with that, let's dig into the first topic on our list today, why I took a break. In the simplest terms, life got real hard, and I was going through something in the fall that just knocked me out, truly. I was like, it was one of those things where life gave me like multiple bad things happening at the same time that was just really stressful to manage. And at the end of every single day, I didn't have two brain cells to rub together, let alone enough spoons to go about expressing myself and wanting to do show and tell on YouTube, and doing the editing and all the posting just got too much. And this is a hobby after all. And I said, okay, it's okay to step away, and I will come back when I'm ready, which is honestly really hard for me because I have the horrible tendency to go at things 100 miles per hour. Like, I'm all in or not at all. And so when I have to be like, oh, hey, actually, like, life is dictating that I do not have capacity for this right now, I'm like, well, so, like, that's just an excuse, and you're just da-da-da-da. Like, horrible, like, self-talk in my head about how I should be still like being consistent, or I wanted to be able to post more regularly, or I wanted to be involved in these collabs or whatever it is. Just still holding myself to that rigid standard that I made for myself with good intentions when my life looked very different. And I needed to step away. I needed to take space to feel my feelings, to grieve, to cry, to make new plans, to figure out what life looks like now. And I feel like I'm finally just starting to peak out enough to say, oh, I miss making YouTube content. So here I am, ready to like try again and keep making content. In the wake of all of those things happening, I still was able to create and engage in fiber arts, and that felt really good. It's really nice knowing that even when my life is like, whoa, that I could still, feel a sense of accomplishment, control, creativity through fibercraft. So I have a bunch of makes and spins and plans and things to share with you. They've just been, piling up for the past couple of months, and I'm finally ready to share them with all of you. And I feel like I learned about show and tell, when I was but a tyke, and I think it's still one of my favorite things in my whole life. Like, I had a friend come over recently, and I got a new chair for my office, and so I was like, I have to show you my new chair in my office. And we went down to my office, and she sat in my chair, and I was like, isn't it so good? And like, look at this, and like, look at what color it is, and all this stuff. And I just got really excited. And yeah, I think show and tell is underrated, and I'm excited to be doing more show and tell with you today. So with that, like I said, I've been making up a storm. Let me show you some of my makes. First things first, the kind of approach to making during the bad times was I only wanted to make what I'm calling tubes. If it's made in the round, I'm about it. I don't care what it is. And if it's not made in the round, if it's knit flat, I hate it. I don't want anything to do with it. My brain just couldn't. All I wanted was tubes. Tubes, tubes, tubes. So let me show you my tubes. A bottom-up vest tube. And it's made with this like alpaca kind of Surrey-ish yarn. So it's like fuzzy and marled, and it's really cool. It's for Cam, so it's very petite and cropped, but they're also so big and strong. I love you, Cam. But yeah, tube. Musselburgh hat. I had to frog this so many times to get my gauge right, but it is just one big tube. Made it. Love it. This is the twist headband. Tube, because it's knit in the round, and then it's like folded up like this. So, tube. This is my halibut cowl, and it's a tube for sure. But this tube, I had to fight for my life with this tube because, listen, again, I didn't have two brain cells to rub together. You're telling me I'm supposed to be able to work a 62 stitch repeat? Because it's 62 stitches twice. That's a lot. It took the biggest big brain moments. So I got this done so slowly, not because it's big, just because my brain like could not get itself together enough to even remember. So I'd remember like only 4 stitches at a time, and then I'd have to like go back and like find my place in the chart and then like count out the next 4 and then the next 4. And it's just woof, you know? It was hard, but I did it. And the yarn is really cool. I got this yarn at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool from 2 of my favorite local yarn makers. So the main color is by Utopia, E-W-E, Topia yarn. They're out of Wisconsin, and they have like their own mill. And this is like, I don't know how clear this will be, but it is a very, very slow gradient fade of greens and browns. Beautiful, beautiful. And it's so soft, and I love it. And then the fish color is by Why Not Fibers, and they do really cool yarn blends too, and they're based out of Michigan. Love you, Michigan, my home state. And yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I think it came out really well. It's really comfy. I'm proud of it because, like I said, I fought for this. This was a challenge, and yeah, it's really comfy, and I really like it. So I finished a whole ass pullover sweater, which it's top down. So it's just a big tube. The body is a big tube, and then attached to it are 2 really long but slightly smaller tubes. I love it. And I'm really happy with this yarn too. This yarn I've been having in my stash for a while, and the colorway is called Perseid, and it's by Granite Mountain Fibers. And it's just so pretty. Like, it's made to look like a comet flying through the night sky. And I think we've achieved that. And if you think that you're noticing any dye lot inconsistencies, no, you're not. Shh, shh. We can't hear this right now. Nope, nope. No, you don't. This is an intentional design choice. I didn't buy one skein at one fiber festival and then ordered other skeins to make this sweater. No, I did not. Yes, I did. But shh, you don't know about it. This is beautiful. This is a work of art, and I'm really proud of it. So there you go. And I also made 2 little feet tubes featuring my very first cable work. Look at that. Look at that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Pretty cool. I like cabling. I have, like I did my first cabling, and now I'm like, oh wait, actually this is really cool and great, and now I want to make other things with cables. So that's on the docket now. Unlocked that skill. So those are all the tubes that I have created. And then time passed, and I started to learn to love, again, knitting flat. So I picked up some projects, I started some new projects, and I'll show you those too, because like I said, I've been busy, people. Like, the world outside is scary, but the world inside has knitting, and that's been very fun. The first one I'll show you is still a tube. And oh, I'll tell you about kind of my new approach in the tube times was I'm working on kind of a like project type replacement system, patent pending. It's that I can make one of each type of things at a time. So I can have a lot of projects going, which was great because I just needed to like cast on a bunch of things. And like, again, if my brain wasn't big enough for this, I could cast on something else and I could go over to like a plain stockinette project and that was going to be great. So when I finished my 6 season sweater, that opened up the category of pullover sweater, and I started making the Afric sweater by Rebecca Clow. Love her patterns. I make all of her stuff. So this is the top, and it has these like 2 motifs, and these are my colors. I chose this like mauve purple and this like emerald green purely because this is just what I had in my stash. I had a lot of this like beige Barocco left over because I thought I was gonna knit a beige sweater, and then I was doing that. I was knitting it. I got really far, and then I was like, I don't like this. I'm not having a good time. So I frogged the whole thing. This was a while ago, and then now the yarn has just been sitting in my stash. And then I also had other of this Barocco vintage left over. Stop, Frankenstein. I just had a bunch of other like Barocco vintage left over from like other projects that I had tried in the past, and I didn't have enough because technically the green and the purple like motifs part of the pattern are supposed to be the same color according to the pattern, but I didn't have enough of either of these to do the whole sweater in one of these, so I just did both. And honestly, this feels more like me. I got to put my weird little twist on things that I like to do. And yeah, I finished the yoke and just put it down and haven't picked it up again. All I need to do is split for sleeves and like keep on cruising, but it just hasn't been calling to me yet, so it's still in the works. It's still a work in progress. This next whip I actually could use your help with if you have opinions on knitting and know anything about brioche knitting specifically. I think that's specific. A while ago, Mine Wolden's channel, so Yenta from Mine Wolden, started making a 2-color brioche cardigan, and Cam saw that and immediately was like, I need that. You need to make that for me. And I said, great. And we went to the store and we picked out some colors. Now the thing about Cam is Cam will always like search and try out new color combinations, but will always come home to blues and purples. Always, always, always. It's like clockwork. To the point where like they'll be holding like a nice blue and they'll be like, oh, you know, it'd be really nice with this, a purple, as if it's like this novel, like never before thought of color combination. Just every time, blues and purples. That's the world we live in. So they picked out this purple and this blue. And what's cool about brioche is that this side is blue with purple and this side is purple with blue. So in the most technical sense, it's reversible. Frankenstein, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Be gone, demon. And the point where I need help is actually just, I'm knitting the smallest size that the pattern has available, but my row gauge is way off. So there are supposed to be more stitches in a 4-inch like little square than I have by about half. So I have about half the stitches that the pattern calls for. So because of that, my sweater is super, super longer than it's supposed to be. And I'm concerned. And so I had the thought of like, okay, well, I could frog it back and do fewer rows like between my increases, because I have like 12 rows between each increase, whatever, according to the pattern. And that would definitely like change the, you know, and right, that would definitely make it shorter. But now I'm worried about like, okay, when I go to make the front panels or when I go to make the sleeves, is that going to have ripple effects down the road? Cam says that they don't mind having like a super long cardigan, but I just don't want it to be awkwardly long because it's not an intentional, like the pattern isn't designed to be like a knee length or a mid-thigh sweater. Like it's designed to hit kind of right at your, I guess, like your hip bones, like a quote unquote normal fit sweater. I don't know the terminology. Cam works in fashion, so they probably know, but not me. Yeah, so if you have any thoughts about like what course of action might be best, hit me up in those comments. I'm thinking of just staying the course and dealing with it, but I just don't want to end up with a sweater that Cam isn't going to wear. I'm fighting for my life against my cat, who just really wants to be part of all things string. Okay, we're back. It's a little bit later in the day, so we had a lighting change and a mic refresh, and my cat Frankenstein is right here, and he's been sleeping here all day and acting like he's always been in this chair forever. It's the first time he's ever laid in this chair in his whole life, I swear to you. Okay, now I want to show you my last whip. This last whip that I've been working on is, stop it, is a fingering weight scrap project. It's not quite a Sophie scarf because I decreased differently and do some other things differently too, but it's in the tradition, the humble tradition of the garter stitch Sophie scarf shawl collection patterns. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm having a lot of fun with it because I like weird little colorful little things. It just gives me so much dopamine in my brain, and it's very exciting to be able to be like, oh, okay, like I'm almost done with this color, time to pick the next one. And then it's, you know, it's short goals, quick wins, and that does my brain good. I've been obsessively knitting on it, so I'm already at the halfway point. And the reason I didn't choose to do like one of the classic Sophie patterns is more because I just had so much more yarn in a very different weight than the Sophies call for. And I was just like, I need to just let it go because my goal is to use up all of these scraps, right? So I wasn't trying to like do a few rows here and a few rows here and a few rows here and still have extra. No. I'm going until these run out. So I like weighed the total amount of yarn that I started with in grams, and it was like 80, let's say 82. Anyway, so I had 82 grams, and then I split that in half, and then I just worked until it was about 40, and then I'll work the decreases until it's about the rest of it. And yeah, there's some ends to weave in, but honestly, I'm okay with that because I'm getting rid of all this yarn that was just sitting in my stash not doing anything. And these aren't knitting yarn scraps either, by the way. We're talking like crochet yarn scraps. So for context, when knitters say they have yarn scraps, they're like, oh, I have this yarn scrap that I don't know what to do with, and it's this big ass thing of yarn still you could do a whole project with. Like, what are you talking about? But when crocheters say that we have yarn scraps, we're talking like, here it is. Like, what am I doing with this little bit of yarn? So this is what I'm working with, just over and over again. Bending down and talking, a good combination for filming. That's what I'm working with, and I'm really excited. It's been really fun. And I've been on, again, the project replacement train. So once I'm done with this little scarfie, I can make another little scarfie. But I have a question for all of you. And this is a philosophical question, sort of, because it's going to help me make decisions about how many projects I can have going at a time. Because another project that I have like waiting in the wings to be cast on is the project that is in this bag. And the project that is in this bag is 300 grams of fingering weight mill ends from Plied Yarn Co. And for anyone who doesn't know, Plied and a lot of other like more commercially produced yarn brands, like they'll skein up a bunch of yarn like onto a bobbin, and then when that bobbin is left over because like they make a crap ton of yarn, and then they have these like, they're called mill ends. They're just leftovers from the production of making their yarn. That isn't quite enough to make any one skein. So like, for example, here's a blue-green one. And they put all of those scraps together so that they weigh 150 grams, and then they sell them to people. I bought 2 of them, so I have 300 grams. So like I have some of this, and I have some of this, and I have some of this. I just have a bunch. I have like a whole bag full of like different colors and bits. And originally, I was like, this is going to be a vest. I'm going to Tunisian crochet a vest. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to love it. And I started Tunisian crocheting it, and I got all the way up from the bottom up to where I was supposed to split for the armholes. And I was looking at it, and I was just like, this yarn isn't a vest. It's not meant to be a vest. It's not what is foretold. So I made the very brave decision to frog the entire thing, put it back in this bag, and go back to square one. And what I'm planning on doing with this yarn is The Traveler Shawl by Andrea Mowry. I'll put a picture here so that you can see what I'm envisioning for this. I think it's very ideal for scrap yarn. She actually recommends like using your own hand spun for it. So I think this is going to be a great fit because Plied Yarn Co. does more like woolen spun yarns. Here's another one. And this is just like scrappy fun. And again, my concept is I wanted something where the stitch pattern was like plain enough to really let the yarn sing. And then also something that was going to let me just go until I run out of yarn. Because like I'm not trying to have more scraps from this, to be clear. But right now I can't cast it on like emotionally because I'm basically doing the same type of project with the garter stitch scarf, right? Where, okay, I'm gesturing down here. It's literally right here next to me. Get your locations correct, right? So like, again, the concept of easy stitch pattern, I'm going until I run out of yarn. It's scrappy, right? So I'm making decisions about what scraps to wear next. Which scraps to wear next? Which scraps to use next? And that's really fun. And I know I'm really going to enjoy this. I'll put a picture here. I did spend some time putting the colors in order that I wanted to use them up to make sure that they like go together. Because I did just want it to be a bit more curated than completely random in this one. I don't really know why. I just did. So I did it. And now it's done. And yeah, but I don't feel like I can cast it on because it feels emotionally too similar, mostly for the like repetitive stitch pattern, worked flat, triangle-ish shaped garment with scrappy yarn. But this does open up the now philosophical question I pose to you, which is in a normal time when I'm working on a little scarfie, like the one that you see here, which is the Stay Toasty scarf by Kutova Kika. I really like the pattern for what it's worth. Could I also cast on a shawl? Like, are those two separate projects? Like two separate types of things? Or are scarfies and shawls kind of in the same category, so I should only have one of each? I know this isn't going to affect my life dramatically, but I couldn't decide, so I wanted to pose it to you. Scarves, shawls, the same? Different? Let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts on this. Because otherwise it's just this brain working on this project of deciding what the deal is, and who knows where we'll end up if this brain is in charge. But yeah, I'm very excited about this project. I'll keep you posted on my progress. I'm thinking I'm going to finish the garter stitch scarf very soon, so it's only a matter of time before I cast it on, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now I want to talk fiber and spinning and wool and all of that kind of stuff, because I finally finished this project right here. I've got 6 skeins of varying sizes because I only have 4 bobbins, and if my bobbins were busy doing something else, I had limited options. So they're all different sizes. But look at this. It is beautiful. I am so proud of it. The consistency, the squish. Here, I'll squish it for you. Look at that. Squish. Squish. Oh, it's so good. I have a card here that tells me all the specs about it because I wrote it down. So smart. 343 grams and 646.31 yards of what I'm calling groatmeal yarn because it's like a gray oatmeal color. I've also heard it called greige, aka gray beige. Also acceptable, but I've been going with groatmeal. It's BFL yarn, and it's chain plied because I, again, only had 4 bobbins, so it was easier for me to just like load up one bobbin and then only have to ply it from one bobbin onto one other bobbin, rather than if you were to 2-ply it, you would need 2 bobbins, one with each ply on it, and then zoop them together onto one bobbin, so then you need 3 bobbins for that. But I only have 4. So chain ply it was. And so most of these are worsted weight, but a couple of them ended up being more of an Aran weight. So I'm just calling it vaguely worsted Aran weight yarn. And I am so excited to have it done because now I can scheme about what projects I can make with it when I'm ready. And as much as I love knitting accessories, I actually have enough spun yarn to make a vest. So I'm thinking I want to honor the fact that I have enough yarn in one go to make a vest. So I think I should do that. And I want to do that. It's not like, oh, the yarn is forcing me to make a vest out of it. Because really, I could make a very lovely set of accessories with all of this. Like, we could have mittens, we could have a headband or a hat, a cowl. We could do it all. But I want to celebrate the fact that like I have enough spun yarn in one like batch to be able to make a garment. So I'm thinking of a vest. And what I need to do is I need to do a swatch so that I can really see how well this yarn can have texture show up, because I'm drawn to vests like the Staffen vest and the librarian vest. I like some of those textures, but if the fact that this is like sort of marled, sort of multi, there's just a lot of like different tones going on in there. Like if that is gonna ruin the texture definition of something like the Staffen, then I don't want to do that. And same with the librarian vest. Like if this isn't gonna really let that texture shine, I'm not gonna do it. I'll find a like plain stockinette version of a vest and we'll do that. And that'll be great. And it'll be so cool to have just a little hand spun garment. How exciting. I am accepting pattern recommendations. If you have vests that you love, I have a bundle going on Ravelry that has a bunch of my ideas, but I'm always, always, always open to pattern recommendations, because even if it doesn't work out for this project, I like opening my mind to like having more options and doing more things in the future. So let me know in the comments like what pattern you would make with this yarn. Again, I'm thinking vest. So ideally they're vest patterns, but if you're really like, but listen, it needs to be this shawl or this other thing, don't let that stop you. Accepting all recommendations. So yeah, I'm very proud. My first garment quantity batch of hand spun yarn. And just like noticing also, I started spinning in June and very lightly in June, like mostly July, like Tour de Fleece, noticing how far my spinning has come. Like this is so much more consistent. This is so much more pretty. It's so much less overspun or overplied. Like it's not perfect, but like that's not the goal. It's just pretty. And I'm like proud of myself for being able to like notice that improvement in my spinning ability. So yeah, showing and telling my hand spun yarn. How cool. Other things that I'm scheming about that I could use pattern recommendations for are the fiber that I bought recently. You know, I really care about you guys because I'm taking the time to take it out of its packaging, which also means I'm committing to putting it back in its packaging at a later date. But okay, I got 2 braids of this. So for those of you who are non-spinners, 2 braids is going to get me a little over 200 grams or like 2 skeins of yarn out of this that you would like buy at the store. This is Montana Corriedale. It's in the colorway Poison Apple, and it's got a lot of these like red tones, obviously Poison Apple, and then also some like golden oranges, and then some like more magenta-y pinks in it too, like right here. And it's absolutely beautiful. This is Apothecary Fabrications, and I've bought from them before. The dyer does really good work. They're based in Arkansas, so like still pretty local to me. I picked up my first Apothecary fibers at YarnCon last year. And no, YarnCon earlier this year. It's still 2025, barely, but we're still in 2025. But yeah, I just think this is absolutely beautiful. I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do with it yet, but given that I'm going to probably end up with like an accessory amount, probably a shawl or a cowl or like a little scarf. So that's one that I bought. And then I have another one. Again, this labor of love that I'm doing right now to take this out of the packaging to show you. Eee! Okay, I'm excited about this one. If you can't tell, this one's from Yarn Jam and it's called Olive Branch. It's 100% natural Shanico, which is a US Merino and Rambouillet like crossbreed. and it is mostly olive green, which makes sense because you're calling it olive branch, but also has the quote unquote branch component of these like bits of rusty orangey brown, and I am delighted. Am I wearing a similar color green right now? Yes, I am. We love a brand. It's cohesive. It's going to fit into my wardrobe. You can't deny. I don't know what I want this to be yet. And I haven't decided for both of these sets of braids, because I also have two of these, if I'm spinning for a specific project or if I just want to spin and then I'll find a project later. But I'm, again, always looking to get inspired, always looking for pattern recommendations. So I have been thinking a lot about the Jaunty by Andrea Mowry. I'll put a picture here. It's everywhere right now. Lots of spinners that I follow have used hand spun with it. Other knitters have been knitting it up. I'm infatuated with it. So like something's going to be a Jaunty soon. But will it be this or will it be something else? Again, very open to your thoughts. Please help me out. I have yet one more fiber thing to tell you, which is so exciting. And so I saved the best for last in this regard. I have finally joined the club of people who have processed their own raw wool. Semi-processed, but I'm very excited. Okay, backstory. Cam's internet friend Cupes, shout out Cupes, thank you so much, has sheep, and they're not sheep that are used like for their wool. And so they were just like, yeah, I just like have bags of my sheep's fleece like in our barn in trash bags, and like we're not doing anything with it. So if you want it, I'll send it to you. And I said, yes, please, thank you. And so they did. They just like sent me a box full of sheep's wool. I now have 5 Ziploc bags full of, like gallon Ziploc bags full of sheep's fleece. And I'm going to put some pictures of the process that I went through here, because the first big step of processing your fleece is a step called scouring, which is basically just giving it a hot ass bath multiple times. The goal of which is to kill off any bacteria or germs, or to help break down some of the lanolin, which is like the natural grease on the wool, and then also to help break up some of the bits of like dirt or sheep's poop that you weren't able to like pull off beforehand. Because like the first step is technically skirting, where you pull off all the little bits that are like felted or too dirty or just the sheep poop. And then you like give it a hot soak. And so I had to do this like multiple times. And I'm like working out of the basement of my apartment building. And so I'm like climbing up and down the stairs to get to the basement and like hauling around buckets of hot and boiling like water. And then having to like let it sit. And you can see in some of the like first pictures of my first rounds of scouring that the water gets real dark and muddy. Friends in my spinning group would say like, good soup. As I went on and did it a few more times, like the water got more and more clear, to the point where I have some fleece that is white, and I'll show you the before picture of what it looked like. And like the crimp on this wool is amazing. But then after I'm done with this process of giving it a hot bath after a hot bath after a hot bath, I think I did like 3 or 4 rounds of scouring. It turns out so much brighter. So I actually feel really accomplished that it is now clean. And yeah, it just felt really cool to be able to do that. I didn't think that was something I was going to be able to do because of the setup of my apartment and the facilities available to me, etc. So the fact that I was actually able to do it feels really freaking cool. And to be able to see the huge transformation in the fleece was also very satisfying. So yeah, now it's just sitting in Ziploc bags. I need to go through the process of turning it into like something a little more clean and uniform like this to be able to actually like spin it into yarn. And that's going to be a process called carding. I do not have hand carders or a drum carder, which is the tools that you need to do that. But I have friends who do, and they are willing to share. So I am grateful to them. I'm going to have a carding party soon, and I'm sure I'll show you what comes out of that before I spin it up into yarn. And then I'm also planning to like use some of that wool to spin something for cubes so that they have a little like keepsake of, oh, okay, cool, like this is my sheep. Because I've heard that like farmers and shepherds and things like that like appreciate having those kinds of keepsakes of, you know, something that their flock produced and helped make. So I'm excited about that. Just way in the future. I don't have concrete plans yet. But that's my big wool surprise update. And now, here we are at the final thing I have to update you about, confirming that's true with my handy dandy notebook. I designed a pattern. Backstory. I designed a pillow way back when I was still living in Baltimore, and I posted it on my Instagram at Swatchosaurus, if you're not already following me. And a dyer who is like semi-local to me based out of Pennsylvania, Kayla at Little Loopy, contacted me on Instagram and was like, hey, I've been really inspired by your pillow pattern, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to like write up a pattern for it so I could include it with my advent that's going out next year, this was last year, so it's this December. This already happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, so first of all, it's super flattering. Second of all, I've never written a pattern before. I, again, have only been doing any fibercraft since August of 2023. So I'm a baby at everything. And then also, like, what business did I have, like, making my own pattern? I just went for it. I really did. Yeah, it was super flattering that she was so inspired by it. And her yarn advent theme was, like, Eau Tannenbaum, so very inspired by Christmas trees. And so my pillow, which is right here, has a bunch of little triangle motifs. And so she was like, oh, that's going to be a perfect fit. The only thing I had to do was make another sample for it because her advent was actually using worsted weight minis, and my original pillow used DK weight minis and scraps. But I want to tell you a little bit about this because I'm very proud of it. It is made for the number of like yarn colors in Kayla's advent. And so that was 11 20-gram worsted weight minis and then one 100-gram main color. So in this particular sample, I incorporated that number of accent colors. However, I mean, my original pattern was just inspired by like a bunch of random minis I had and then a bunch of like yarn scraps from Fuller Skeins and things like that. So you could really customize this to incorporate any number of colors. I mean, a finite number, it's fixed, but like there's 27 different triangle motifs on the front. So you could really do up to 27 different colors if you wanted to. So it's a great stash buster. Or if you have your own advent that has more than 11 colors, it would still be suitable. And then the back has stripies, and I incorporated this specifically thinking about an advent so that you could arrange them like telling the story of the advent. As you open each day, you could crochet the next like stripe with your new color. But then also, right, again, there's instructions in the pattern for how to customize both the front and back. So if you're like, I want to arrange this in a fade like I did, or I want to tell the story of like each day of my advent, you can do that. There's no rules. It's not super rigid. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. And from what I can tell, what I've heard from Kayla, that the Little Loopy advent customers are very pleased with it. She told me that there were some knitters who said that they wish that they crocheted so that they could make this, which is just very flattering. Like, again, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if anyone would actually be interested in this. And so the fact that they are is just beyond flattering. I'm just like, oh my gosh, really? Like, I just made this up out of my brain. I didn't expect anyone to bat an eye at it, let alone like want the pattern so that they could make it themselves. But the pattern is now live on Ravelry. It's for sale for $5. And I'll put the link in the description in case you want to check it out. And even if you're not a crocheter, or even if you're not interested in making this, but you're interested in supporting me in some way, you can follow the link. I'm pretty sure the foot traffic to the pattern page still does help me because it then like makes it seem more popular so that Ravelry like then shows it to more people. And if you're watching this and you're like, oh wow, like I would love to make this, but $5 is prohibitive for me for any reason, just message me. Like, we'll work something out. Like, sliding scale works for me, and I'm happy to meet you where you're at, your finances and your crafting journey. But yeah. Oh, I should probably tell you like what I'm calling this. Hello. This is the Celestial Charm Pillow. I called it that because I made this while I was living in Baltimore. So the charm part is inspired by Charm City, which is a nickname for Baltimore. And then the celestial part was because it was a December Advent. And in December, I like to celebrate Yule and the solstice. So I was thinking about the stars and the planets and the things. So celestial for that. And then I picked a color palette. And this is just Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted. I had a bunch that I ordered just in this palette of blues and purples. So you can see that Cam has clearly rubbed off on me on their color palette. But also I feel like it did just speak to like, it's winter, it's ice, it's the sky, stars thing. So I feel like this was really like appropriate. Yeah, so it's a pretty accessible pattern. Like, I'm a beginner and I made it. So if that's not an endorsement for the fact that you can make this, then I don't know what is. Yeah, like I said, it's available on Ravelry. So if it's something that you're into, check it out. Consider getting a copy, making it. If you do make it, I would love to see it. I would literally cry to see someone else making my pattern. Is there anything else I should tell them about this? I don't think so. Cam said I should tell you to get it because I'm cute. So you have your marching orders, I guess. But yeah, that's the last thing I want to tell you about is the Celestial Charm Pillow. Available now. And that brings us up to current on all of my projects. You now know everything that there is to know about what I've been up to fibercraft-wise. Now, all that's left to say is, anyway, thanks for visiting my craftland. You are invited back at any time. And if you feel like sticking around, a like or a subscription will make sure that YouTube brings us together again soon. And until then, I'll see you later. Bye! Go make your own fun. Frankie, you trying to play with my strings right now? Frankenstein, I swear. Do you want to come say hi, Bubba? Can you say right here? Can you say right here? No? I'm not going to do that? Okay, then leave. Frankenstein, I swear to God. Stop it. Stop it. Stop. Seriously? Seriously? That's enough. This is not a game. Yes! You said it is a game, mother. I will fight you. Okay. Get that out of there. Stop yourself. You are a menace. You're ruining my life. I love you so much. Please don't go anywhere. Please don't lick the outlet where the internet is plugged into. Oh my God. Oh! Please stop. Go over there. Look outside. Which... on the record. Frank! No! I love him, but he is so involved.